All right, this is one of my favorite weeks when we talk about safe and secure computing. And this presentation was customized from the Center for Cyber Safety and Education for Seniors, which I think mostly means the pictures throughout have some older folks in them. And some of the case studies that we did in the past were focused on older folks. So, you know me already, I'll just keep going there. And we're never going to be perfectly secure. It's not, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it'll ever happen, but we can be aware. And being aware with our cybersecurity is very similar to being aware with our physical security. Something that you may be able to relate to. You're in a town and you for some reason you have to run into a late night store. The only place that's open is Walmart. It's midnight or maybe 1 in the morning. You're going to the Walmart and you go to park your car in the parking lot. And it's the parking lot's not always the safest, cleanest, most welcoming environment, especially in the middle of the night. So you will probably park close to the front door and under a light if you can. That's your situational awareness that you develop naturally through life to try and avoid the bad looking situations where you could potentially get robbed. Now, we don't want to ever have anyone get robbed or have criminals affect us, but it does happen in real life and it happens all the time, every day online. So it's just building a little bit of awareness is going to help us. So here's the top 10 tips. And I'll let you, if you want to take a screenshot or something of this, I'll let you go through. We'll go through these and then we'll go through them again later, and we'll have an exercise afterward to talk about these in groups. All right, so let's start with the understanding our world a little bit. I find that if we can identify the terms that we're speaking about, and this kind of goes all the way down the line, it's a little easier to discuss when we know we're talking about the same thing. So let's see what we have over here. Passwords. We're living in a world of unbelievable passwords. I think when we talked about passwords last semester, I looked up and I saw I had about 800 passwords stored in my password manager. And I'm not going through and actively deleting passwords. So unless the website shut down, I probably have 800 or more passwords stored and saved somewhere. And hopefully they're all um, different. They're not the same password on multiple sites because that's a big risk for you. Not, we haven't always made long passwords. I think 12 characters is a reasonable minimum, but 14 is better. The longer, the better. Um, this first example that says I eat at 2 on Tuesdays. Well, I don't know that that's necessarily the best. I would throw some spaces in there, but when we talk about passwords at full length, we'll do a little more. We'll spend a little more time on that, and then using our multi-factor authentication. Sometimes it's only a text message, which can be hacked, but usually they're asking you to put in your identification from a multi-factor app, which are those little 6 numbers that you get to put in, or you might have something called Duo that pushes to your phone and you have to click the checkbox. Or if you're really in good shape, you'll start having passkeys. And then with passkeys, you get a very secure login that just requires you to do a 1 click on your phone or 1 click in your browser. It's fantastic. So, how do we store our passwords? Now, we've talked about this quite a bit in past classes. If if you don't have a way to store your password manager already, you want a secure password management system. So if you're using Apple devices across the board, you have an iPad and an iPhone and a Mac, it's pretty easy to just use the keychain that's built in, the passwords app. It's very secure. It'll manage it all with your iCloud account. If you're using multiple devices like I am, you might want to consider an open source password manager like Bitwarden. That's what I go to. And some people are on Windows and Android, and you can use what's built into Chrome. I don't prefer my password manager built into the web browser like Firefox and Chrome, but they're good, solid, reliable password managers. And there's some other great ones, and we'll talk about those more in depth when we go into passwords for a whole module. You don't want to have to remember hundreds of passwords. Now, this is still a problem. This was still open Wi-Fi is still an issue. I had open Wi-Fi at the resort in Las Vegas last week. They had two Wi-Fi available. One was secure and one wasn't. And when they gave me the card when I checked in, they wanted me to connect to the unsecured Wi-Fi, which I just thought was amazing. But if that's your only choice, what do you do when you connect to an open Wi-Fi? Try not to do your banking on that Wi-Fi. Even though it's going to have an SSL certificate, a bad person could be there, and it's better not to risk your retirement or your checking account to check in on it while you're at a hotel or somewhere that has just a public Wi-Fi. There are some ways that you could maybe mitigate that a little bit by using a VPN, but that's another discussion to find a trustworthy VPN, something like Proton VPN or Mullvad or Firefox or Nord. There's generally a free VPN, unless it's Proton, you should avoid. There were thousands and thousands of free VPNs, free with air quotes, that were just installing malware. So I would say stay away from them. And maybe you don't need to use the open Wi-Fi. You could use the hotspot on your phone if you get that. My T-Mobile account gives me 10 gigs a month. So if I'm just going one day to the coffee shop or here and there for a few hours, I can just use my phone's hotspot. And if you really need to travel a lot, it might be worth owning your own Wi-Fi hotspot, which is what I do now. So I can just use everything I need and I know I have a secure connection. So, firewall. You know what a firewall is in your house, but on your network, the idea is similar to that firewall that's between your garage and your house. The idea of a firewall on your computing is to keep traffic out of your network that you don't want. So we block everything coming in. We just block it all unless we allow it specifically. And usually when you buy a home router, let's say you get a Wi-Fi router, it connects to your internet. The router will allow your device to go out and open a port so that the web server can talk back to you. That's called network address translation, NAT. And it's a good way to protect all the devices in your house. You should not plug your computer directly into the internet anymore. We used to have a term called the internet background radiation, where every piece of spyware and malware that was ever installed on any computer, everything sitting in everyone's closet left unattended for all these years, is still online and they're still scanning. But now there's an active component of that where malicious devices are just constantly scanning. And it's been found several times that within about 20 minutes, an unpatched device could be compromised. So just don't plug your PC directly into your modem. Make sure you have a router of some sort. So VPN means virtual private network. Not all VPNs are good. They're not all bad either, but there's so much malware in the VPN market that I just want you to be really paranoid about choosing a VPN provider. There are ways to VPN back to your own house. They usually require you to open up a port on your firewall. So I would say, forget it, forget that. Get the Proton VPN, or it might be if you're traveling a lot, it's probably worth it for you to spend $5 to $10 a month and just buy a VPN. Just pay for service. Like I mentioned, I use Mullvad VPN. It lets me work on 5 different devices simultaneously. So my desktop, my laptop, my iPad, and my phone can always be connected to the VPN whenever I need it. Okay, so now we have these words malware. It's a portmanteau of malicious software. Ransomware, that's another portmanteau between software and then holding your data for ransom. So this is software that is trying to extort money from you, and that's going through cryptocurrency. And then phishing, this PH phishing, that's when somebody sends you a text message or an email trying to trick you. And this is, I'm sure you're all familiar, happening every day. So here's a little breakdown between phishing and malware and ransomware. Phishing attacks, so email going to a company, tricking someone into opening a document or clicking a link. This is still by far the most common way that bad actors are getting into companies and stealing their data. It's just far and away that human beings are not good computer security people. We may want to connect. We may be good people. We may have, we may not be thinking about safety every second of every day. You might just be trying to get your work done, and there's a lot to do, and you accidentally click on something, and just like that, everything in your company's gone. It happens to companies all day, every day, all across the country. Every day we can, and these are the only ones we know about. Every day we could see 30 to 50 companies that have had all their data locked up and are being held for ransom by criminals. And these criminals are all over the world. They used to primarily be in Russia and Ukraine, but they're all over now. They're in North Korea, they're in China, they're in all different parts of Eastern Europe. It's the democratization of criminals, maybe. I'm not sure. So we could try and prevent phishing. It's never going to happen, but we'll feel better if it's not us that clicks on it. So, and I'll show you some examples later. If you didn't ask for something, just don't click on it. If somebody says, "Oh, here's the invoice for that $500 PayPal thing," and you're like, "I didn't like buy something for $500 on PayPal," don't open it. Just trash it. If you think maybe it's from your bank, you can always just pick up the phone and call your bank. Don't call the number in the email. Or if you think it's the UPS, that's an example I have in here later. Just you could look up the number on the web and call them. So it requires not being too caught up and a little common sense. Unfortunately, with AI, some of the problems that used to be the giveaways don't happen anymore. Spelling isn't always an issue. The bad English is no longer an issue, and the phishing emails are getting more and more successful. Okay, malware. Malware's very difficult for us to stay on top of. Every month, Microsoft patches dozens to hundreds of exploits in the operating system every month, second Tuesday of every month. And the Wednesday after that, computers all over the world get hacked into because they go, "Oh, look at the Microsoft patch. Oh, look, they patched this thing. Let me exploit it." So if you're running Microsoft Windows, it's a good idea to just set your updates to automatic, let them run, set your antivirus to automatic. The antivirus comes with your operating system now. So if you're using Windows or Mac OS, it's built in. You don't need to buy a third party. But if you like a third party, you can buy it, of course. If you want to go and buy some antivirus because it has features that you like and you know you want it, by all means, go ahead. But if you just want to stay protected and up to date, it's fine to use what's built in. Increasingly, we're seeing the need for antivirus on your Android phone as well. And there are some options. We'll talk about it in the fall. Some options to put antivirus on your Android phone. And if there's some big Android users in the class, maybe in your breakout room, you can share your findings on Android antivirus. And when I jump into your breakout room, please let me know. Or you can also share it in the chat with everyone. Okay. Oh, she's pretty scared. This girl. Okay, so if you're the person that gets fished, you clicked on the link. Our inclination is to feel terrible, to feel guilty. I don't want you to feel guilty about that. Imagine, if you will, that you decided you're going to learn how to be a wrestler and you went out on Saturday and you took one lesson of jujitsu at a place that has expert jujitsu masters. You took one lesson and now you're ready. So they team you up against um, a, a world class champion to fight you, someone who's been doing jujitsu and martial arts for 20 years, who is has a known record of defeating their opponents, and you have had one lesson one day next Saturday or last Saturday, whatever Saturday you want on this. Do you think you have a good chance of winning? Not unless you have some other training. Maybe you were in special forces, in the military, um, in the US Army or the Marines. Maybe you have a chance. But one jujitsu lesson and that's all your experience, you're not going to beat a master. And the criminals that are attacking us, they're experts. They've devoted their careers to this type of crime, to conning you, to building fake confidence, to getting money out of you. And there's a video in the module for you about another con that's been happening over text messages. It has the horrible name of pig butchering, but it is a similar long-term attack to steal all your money by building confidence, building a fake relationship, and convincing you to take your hard-earned wealth and give it to them while they steal it. We don't want that to happen either. I think social media is even worse now than it was before. It's segmented across different areas. It's not just a few anymore. They're all over the place. The Chinese are getting all of our social media information, and Facebook, they just got in trouble. That's Meta, because their apps on their phone, the Messenger app, Instagram, Facebook, they were setting up local servers and having websites report in, even if you blocked all cookies, even if you were on your VPN, they were having the websites report locally on your phone where you were going, and they were tracking you. So it's not only using the social media is dangerous. The old adage, you just have your phone in the room while you're talking about, you want to buy a new sweater, and then you go on your computer and all of a sudden there's ads for a new sweater. That's because the phones are listening and trying to sell us ads. The other issue with our social media here is we we like to go and travel, we like to see things. When we're posting pictures, we probably don't want to put a picture with our house or our license plate number and say, all right, I'm going to be gone in Europe for 3 weeks. It's a big advertisement to say, come and rob me. Look at all this beautiful art that I have in my house. And here's my address. And I'm not going to be home for 3 weeks. So generally, let's take all those pictures and then, go home and post them all online when you get home. Or maybe when you're sitting on the airplane coming back from Europe, you're going to have Starlink now the whole time on your trip. You can be going through all your pictures and posting them all to all your friends on all your social media, whatever, if that's something that you do the whole time. And there won't be enough time for anyone to think you're going to be out of town because you're already on the way home. Of course, some of us are just using text message groups now, and something like sharing Apple photo shared photo albums or sharing a Google Photos. So there's other ways around it. And there's some information here. I've spent a lot of time with my kids on this specifically. So I saw one of my kids' videos, and I noticed that there was about to be some house numbers and license plates of the neighbors, and he very carefully blurred all that out. I was like, good job. But something else to think about is by default, your phone will always put your GPS location on your photo. By default, it's turned on automatically. And it's really wonderful when you open up your photo library, you can see, oh, all the places and dates and all the travels. But then if you share that photo online, unless you remove the geotagging, that GPS location that's built in from the metadata of the picture, somebody can go exactly to your house. And we don't want that to happen to you. It's bad enough that, people are out there committing the crimes in the first place. We don't want them at your house. That's where I think we're the most vulnerable. What are you going to run? I don't know. If somebody wants to rob your house, just let them. Just get out. Let them rob your house. Get your stuff back. It's at least you'll be alive. Okay, here's a couple other terms. Hacked. I'm very sad as a lifelong technologist and self-proclaimed hacker. I'm very sad that hacked has become a bad word. It was always a good word, and I just don't refer to myself as a hacker anymore because it usually implies some criminality. But hacking just used to mean let's make this work for us. This, people would hack the system, you would hack the phone, you would you'd figure out how the video games worked and then use it to your advantage. That was hacking that game. Now it usually means stealing your money or breaking your things. So we don't want that. Another issue is when somebody they clone you. They clone your debit card. They clone your credit card. They pretend to be you. They take all of your stolen breach information that's published all over the internet, and they open up a line of credit in your name. Or this just happened to someone I was talking to. They got a bill from Verizon for a phone, and they said, I don't have a Verizon account. And they said, well, you opened up a line, and you opened up an account, and you got a brand new iPhone, and that account was in their name with their information, but they didn't open it. Somebody had taken their stolen information, walked into Verizon, pretended to be them. Maybe they even had a fake ID. I don't know. Maybe they social engineered the Verizon person and then walked out with a brand new iPhone. And then the other person had to deal with that identity theft. I wonder if I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. So you can come back to this slide. These are all the steps here. Oh, there was a really funny in the past. This don't overshare one. Let me just point this one out. Over here. These questions, what's your favorite teacher? What's the street you grew up on? Sometimes those are the questions used to recover your account when you say forgot password. So there was an instance of this before COVID. This is our time marker, right? After 9/11, before 9/11, before COVID, after COVID. Before COVID, there was a string of these on Facebook that people would fill out, and we'd keep saying like, "Don't fill that out. Those are your security questions. Don't give that information up." Okay, we're still doing all right on time here. So identity theft. I hope this doesn't happen to you. A friend of mine, I think I mention him every time now because it was just it's so annoying for him. He went to file his taxes in his retirement and they got kicked back and said, no, you owe a lot of money, like a lot, like $30,000 more than he should have owed. And he said, no, I didn't, I'm retired. That's not my income. This is my income. And the IRS didn't believe him. So he had to start going into the IRS office in person. And then his identity, his credit, everything was messed up for him for 3 years while he kept going in repeatedly to the IRS in person to clear it up. And who has time for that? He's in retirement. He needs to be going around playing piano and dancing and traveling. He can't be spending all his days going to the IRS. So I had recommended to him before, freeze your credit. He said, why would I need to do that? That's a lot of hassle and there's no benefit. And after this, he froze his credit. So you should freeze your credit. And I'll make sure to get a link for everyone later. So some of the ways that identity theft is happening are beyond our power. It's too late to get off of the internet. Once you've used some websites and services, and those companies were irresponsible with our information, or they just sold it, they lost it, they sold it. All of our information is just out and available. And even if you can't find it on a public website, like I've gone through and deleted my information from some of the public websites, they're still in those collections. Like you might have heard in the last week about a 16 million credentials. Well, those weren't new. Those are just a combination of stolen credentials that were already available, and somebody combined them and put them in a single download. Yeah. And it happens all the time. Years ago, I downloaded 400 million Facebook identities just to search through it and see if all my friends were there. And yes, they were all there. So, one thing, I might have to go fix these slides one day. One thing, you should check your credit card charges every month just to make sure that nothing unexpected is on there. You might find it before the bank does. But another thing you can do, and I do this every year or so, is go and get your free credit report from the annualcreditreport.com. You'll go through and you'll download your credit report from all three of the major credit reporting agencies. And then you can check for any weird accounts or anything that you don't know there also. But I do suggest you freeze it. It's a little bit of a hassle because you got to go to 3 or 4 places and freeze them, but I'll give you a link to make it easy later. And I've tried to freeze my children's credit and I have not been able to do it online. So I think I have to call them to get my children's credit frozen. But now that that has fallen a year on my to-do list, now I'm wondering, oh no, what happens if their identity has been stolen? Oh no. Yeah, if you're a victim, boy, it's really tough. I hope you find out before any long lasting damage is done. But we're going to do what we can. I hope this doesn't happen to anybody here, but it is happening. So it's better for us to be aware of the risks than just ignoring it. And oh, and by the way, in the module, I have a PDF of this presentation for you. So you'll have the video and the PDF and everything. Now I see that it is almost 6:50, so I'm going to do a couple slides and then we'll take a break. Okay, so you'll have to do the fraud alert. If you lose access to your bank account, or if somebody steals, maybe they from your recycle bin, they steals your bank statements or something. I usually get those electronically or shred the ones that I get in the mail. But if you think someone has gone through and stolen old checks or bank records, you might have to call your bank. One friend of mine had thrown away a bunch of old, it was too much for him to shred, but they were all old and not current. But he had thrown a bunch of material in his recycle bin one night, and he waited until after midnight to throw these in the recycle bin because the recycling comes in the morning. And in the morning, his recycle bin was gone. The criminals had come by and taken the entire recycle bin, and he had to go and change all of his credit cards and all of his bank accounts. He was very unhappy, but he did it as soon as he realized that the trash can had been stolen. It's a blue one here in Southern California. Then he right away called the bank. He told them what happened and had to go through all that hassle and, getting new credit cards in the mail and all that. So, but you can also report the identity theft to the FTC, and there's some links to report also to report to the FBI. All right, let's take a break right here and be right back. So hopefully you're familiar with some of these common scams so that you don't get caught up by them. When you're online shopping, sometimes a website will look like the website you meant to go to, but something will be a little bit off. Maybe the name will be off, or the URL in the bar will be different, or something like when you go to log in, at first it'll say like username not found, and you'll think, oh, but I know that's my username for this website. That might be trouble. Go change your password right away on the real website. Sometimes, if you're using something like Cash App or Venmo, there's been a slew of scams with these online payments, especially with Zelle. Zelle is the one of all the services that they don't give you the money back if you get scammed. So I tend to use Cash App or Venmo, but Zelle is also really nice because the money goes into the bank account right away. But you have to be extra careful when you get a text message or you get a request. Some of the scams on the Cash App is people would say, "Oh, I'm going to give away, $100 on Cash App. Post your Cash App username here on social media." Okay, so they'll get 1,000 people will post their Cash App, and then they'll pick one and give them. They'll actually give them $100. So you posted to the it's X now. You post to X with your Cash App ID, and then somebody on that posting got $100, but then everyone else that posted gets some various form of scams. And they're always like, wait, what? Here's the request for Uber payment, or here's a refund of $10. You're like, oh no, I didn't give you $10. You don't need to refund me $10. Let's just cancel the whole thing. Okay, so here's the big one. This is a little pet peeve of mine over here. Let's not use our debit cards. And this says online purchases. Let's not use them for any purchases. Use your debit card for the things you need to use debit cards for. You might go to the ATM and get out cash. You might use your debit card to power some of your services like Venmo or Cash App, or if you're using privacy.com, that's a good use of your debit card to get access to and from your bank account. But don't go and purchase gas with it or use it in the store or anywhere that your card might become cloned or stolen. It's not that you won't get your money back. It's just that it's annoying to say, "Oh, $2,000 has gone from my account when I wasn't expecting it." And they'll give you the $2,000 back, but what happens if you were planning to spend the money in your account on something else and then one of those transactions don't go through, or what if you're stuck traveling? So it's just a good idea to use your credit card instead of a debit card, or use your one-time use cards like Privacy. It's definitely better to go directly to the store, go type in the URL, or go through your email, or use the app on your phone when you go shop at Macy's rather than a link from Facebook. You never know if PayPal is going to be Pay iPal or something like that. Okay. Here's another reminder. If you're on public Wi Fi, which is still around, although it's becoming less and less of an issue, you might think you're on the right site. And this is the problem with public Wi Fi. You may actually be on the correct website, but then and we're calling this monster in the middle now. It used to be called man in the middle, but there could be a bad actor um, watching your traffic and taking your information, like picking your credit card number out while you're connected to the site legitimately. So there's just no way for you to know if it's happening or not. If if the bad person has control of that network, you're just giving them all your data. So that's why I'm such a big proponent of VPNs. Yeah, and we want to double check our URLs, but it's so difficult to do that constantly. It's you can't even tell sometimes if it's a real or fake URL. And there's a vulnerability in the SVG image, that's a scalable vector graphics, that's been happening. at least we've known about it for the last few months. It's been out forever, where the entire fake phishing website is embedded in an SVG image. And when you open your email, it opens the entire website for you and it looks completely legitimate. And it's all going back to a bad server. So um, if it looks wrong, just bail. You're like, oh, I don't know what's happening here. I'm just going to quit my browser. I'm going to reboot my computer. Let's just try again. Use your intuition. You're probably right. All right, let's get into a little details here, and then we'll do our breakout. So here's one right here. You're like, what? Service at PayPal? Who's Beth? And why does she want me to pay $341? So when you click on that, view and pay invoice, well, this may be this may be fake. I mean, it could be real, but it's likely if you don't know Beth and you don't think you owe Beth money, it's likely that this is fake. And it might even be a real link to a real PayPal, and they're just trying to get you to give them money for some reason. Here's another one. So you can look. A note from seller for any information reach 1-833. Said, what? 833? And how come the name, if you look up here, how come the name says service at PayPal, but it says LIEA at something else? Like, that's not what it's supposed to be like. And do you know how to check this on your own email? Gmail's pretty good about it these days, but on Apple Mail, we still have to click a button to see it. And then something else, if you look way down here, it says PayPal RT000238.en. I'm like, what? That's not right. Something's not right here. Just skip it. And what's the worst that happens if you delete it? They send it to you again if it's real. All right, so here's one right here. You get this. I have an urgent task for you. Are you free? Like, what? It's urgent. There's a sense of urgency. This is one of the keys to catch. It's like this is real. I've actually seen this in person. This gift card scam. Can you confirm if you can purchase Apple cards? Like, wait, what? Apple cards? Um,
Well, and cards is misspelled.
well, but that's a text message, so you might expect misspellings on a text message. But here's a few things. Like, first of all, who is this person? Like, what number is that? They may say they're who they are, but is that number even in your phone book? Like, do you normally write this way, or is this someone that's not in your normal conversational dialogue, in your milieu? This urgency, like do it now, do it now. And then really what they're trying to do is get gift cards. And this gift card scam is a big deal. I came across it one time at my last college when I was in IT, and one of the people I was talking to, they said, "Hey, did you know Alice is sending these spam emails about gift cards?" And I said, "What?" My ears perked up because I had been doing the phishing training, so everybody knew when there was phishing email to send it to me because I would do the investigation and try and root that out and get rid of it on the campus. So I did some investigating, and what I found was there was at least one person who had the actual email from various deans across the college with their email signature and everything looking legit. They had created for each dean an email address that had the dean's name with the college edu at gmail.com. And then they were sending email specifically to all the employees that were listed on the website working for them. And the one that I saw came from Alice, and it went to somebody that knows her with the real signature. And it said, hey, whatever, Connie, I'm out at this conference with so and so. which was true. Somehow, they were in this poor lady's email. They knew where she was. They knew she was at a conference with this other person. And then in the email, it said, I'm just trying to come up with names here so I don't accidentally name somebody for real. So it said, "Hey, you know that Lisa's been doing a great job, and I would love to give her a gift card while I'm still here at the conference. Can you run to the store and grab one for me and just email it?" And here this poor lady's like working her full-time job. The email comes in from her boss, the dean of the department of the division, and so she wants to run out and help. But it was like walking to her car, she realized, oh, I should probably let Sable know about this. So what I found is it was happening all over the campus. It had happened in multiple other divisions to people, and they were ashamed to report it. Once they realized that they bought a $50 gift card and sent it off to the fake dean whoever, they were feeling ashamed. So this was a real, I mean, we have no idea how much money was stolen from the employees. I was able to stop it where it was, but I don't think anything happened beyond that.
What made her stop and decided to send the email to you while she was gonna about to get the card?
Oh,
What
I
made
had
her change?
been running fishing training on the campus for
Mhm.
over a year at that time, and part of what I was doing was sending various types of phishing emails to people, and if they failed, if they clicked on the phishing email link, it would send them to a 5 minutes training. And sometimes people would say, "I don't understand how is this email phishing?" And then I would meet with them on Zoom and show them on the email and show them like what it was and where they clicked, because it's really impossible for us to all be experts in this, but
Mhm.
just having some awareness I think helps us. So here's another one, like, "Excuse me, this is Tom's new phone number plate." Like, what? I would click this button down on the bottom immediately, and unfortunately I do this so quick I forget to grab screenshots for you. I do this. I report junk and delete and block all in one step. Whoosh, done. Here's another one. This was a real one that I got actually. Um, no, this was somebody that I had trained. I know this. I know this rabbi. I've worked with several problems that she's had. She's been directly impersonated, but this was a real text that went to one of the people that I know. And so we could see, first of all, it's like, I have a favor to ask. Oh, so this, prominent person in the community, like the rabbi, is asking for a favor, like, get back to me when you get it. Like, okay, that's that makes you feel good. So the first thing you have to say is, what is the 845 number? How come it doesn't show up in my phone book? Like, I have the rabbi's number. Doesn't it show up with her picture? Like, I should see her smiling face over here, and it should just say the rabbi's name instead of a weird phone number. And then here, what's this? Like, why is there a tilde there? It doesn't, it's not exactly how I would expect this person that I know to write a text message. And then even this is not like a common salutation on a text message. So, what do you do? In this case, the person took a screenshot and sent it to me and then clicked report junk and blocked and deleted.
I get a lot of texts that say, "This is the post office.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't verify your address. You know, please click on this," sort of thing. And I immediately know it's a scam by
Yeah,
looking at, as you say, the phone number.
that's right. Here's one that I got. I got this one a while back and took the screenshot so I could save it because it was really like the classic example. So first of all, it said UPS customer service. That doesn't look weird. And then UPS pending delivery. That's weird. Like, what's that? That's not how UPS emails come from. And then, who is this email being sent to? What's recipients? Do you ever stop to think like, maybe not? Customer, like, wouldn't they use my name? I didn't write that very well. Let me try a different question mark. This highlighter's not working out well for the video. Good luck trying to decipher my question mark there. In this case, since this was an actual email, this was before AI really broke out. Your package has reached our warehouse. Like, all right, that's not UPS. It's just not. That's not going to make it. Due to coronavirus outbreak, like, this whole thing is sketchy right here. This is definitely, I'm already blocking and deleting this email, but let's see what the rest is. Like, oh, you want to know the order number? Check the attachment. You want to know the tracking number? Check the attachment. It's not even attachment, it's attachment. Well, what is the attachment right here? It's an ISO file. If you know what an ISO file is, that's a disk image. So if you had a CD or something you were going to make into a bootable Linux distribution, or you had an entire disk and you're going to have that as an ISO, you don't email those around. That's not common. So I grabbed a screenshot and then threw this right into the junk mail. So this is my mantra right here. Question everything. That's not the same as our computer mantra, by the way. I'll put that sticky up later, but question everything. Like, figure out, is this meant for you? What's the worst thing that could happen if I delete it? Probably they send it to you again. There's a few things that maybe you need to take care of right away, but really, like, you could probably just trash it. If you're not sure, just trash it or call them. Like, is that their number? Look in your phone book and give them a call. Say, did you send this to me? I texted my buddy. I said, do you want to get on the horn? He didn't text back. And I said, oh yeah, people don't know what that means anymore. Do you want me to call you? Right? You might want to send, if you think you got a text message from somebody that you know, start a new message, type in their name, and then say, did you send this to me? You could send them a screenshot if you want. Okay, so here we go. This is all a review. We've already done this. Here's our 10 tips. We'll go over this in our breakout. Well, no, that's not our 10 tips. That's the what happens if you were scammed. These are our top tips. We'll go over this for breakouts. And on this presentation, specifically on the PDF, I have all these links for you. You can download them. And thank you very much. Let me stop the recording.